resonated with me when John Legend was singing Motherless Child. It was talking about just needing that shoulder to cry on, just needing that person to vent to, that person to listen to. And that's the thing. A lot of times, yes, people will say, go to God in prayer. But you need that physical person sometimes to give you that guide, to give you that roadmap, to help you understand the steps that you need to take. And so that's why tonight I said this is a challenge for men, because it's going to be a challenge because you're going to be asked to step in and actually fulfill some of the footsteps that are missing in our society. So we're going to jump in and we're going to have a discussion here with Mrs. Nikki White, who is actually the founder of Fatherless Daughters. And it's more than just an, hey, how are you? And it's
Stories of America.
Fatherless Daughters of America. And the thing is, it's more than just an event. A lot of times people have events, they have conferences, they have workshops. But if you all are in the Savannah area, there is actually a docuseries that goes on the CW about the different women who are actually affected. And I said women because it affects us from our childhood to our adulthood. It's not something that just goes away. So let's jump in. I'm going to ask you a few questions. And of course, I'm going to start off. How was this ministry birthed from you? What started Fatherless Daughters for you? What was your experience?
Well, the Fatherless Daughters of America movement began about 2 years ago. I like to say that God called me to the movement out of my own pain. I was raised in a home, as you see on the show. I was raised in a home where I was adopted, and all my life I thought that my adopted grandmother was her son was actually my father. So it was not until she took sick and on her deathbed she told me, she said, my son is not your dad. Go and find your family. Because she knew that I would be kind of left out. And, you know how grandmas did it. They grew up in family, so they know when they leave, either the family gonna stay strong or they gonna scatter. So for me, being an adopted child in a home of 12, that sent me on my journey, and it also sent me into a depression. So every year from Mother's Day to Father's Day, I would go through this dark depression when I would drink heavily. I wouldn't want to spend time with my kids, my husband. I wouldn't want to just do anything because I thought, well, I don't know my father, and I have a strange relationship with my mother. So how do I celebrate Mother's Day? How do I celebrate Father's Day? Even though I was a mother myself, I still felt inadequate, because I didn't have that nurturing parents to actually, teach me how to be a mom. I learned on my own, and I learned from spiritual moms in the church. So it began from that pain and processing that pain, and God actually, dealing with me and telling me that I could be the wounded healer, and I could go forth. It's amazing because I had a dream, and in that vision, I saw myself laying in my bed with alcohol all around me, just alcohol and just depression all around me, but there was a light that shined over my bed, and that light illuminated my bed, and then it illuminated this world that just opened up to me. And in the world, I just saw other broken girls and women who were dealing with the same issue, and God said, get up from your bed. So it kind of reminds me of that story in the Bible when he told the man to rise up from your bed and walk. And so from that was birthed the movement, the Fatherless Daughters of America. So fast forwarding, we started the movement, we started to do the summit. And each year we have a Fatherless Daughters Summit where girls, they come together and they gather. We have a panel discussion. The Fatherless Daughters movement, we bring resources, education, empowerment to girls who have, who fathers are unavailable physically and unavailable emotionally. And that can range from a lot of statistics, a lot of situations. There's 81% of children are their fathers are incarcerated. They're making more prisons than in our schools. 73% of children worldwide live in fatherless homes. That's 73%. 47% of that is African. 53% is African American. 47. when you talk about a female led in one house, you talk about an epidemic, and because of all of this, we see poverty, we see low self-esteem, we see incarceration, behavior issues, we see mental conditions. One of the great things that I love about the movement that we began, the people in Savannah have rounded up, and a lot of the psychologists and therapists have joined in and helped us. And one of the ones that you'll see on the show, Dr. Ann McDaniel, she has a counseling business, and she counsels every girl that comes through the movement, and she provides them with pro bono counseling. Because we have to learn to, okay, we can shout on this issue, and God is our healer, God is our healer, but we shout it, but we still need the practical things.
But you know what? I like what you said. It's a movement. And the key about a movement is you got to get up and go somewhere. I think that's one of the things. And another thing is that you are doing it even within your own hurt. And that's a lot of times. We have to do things that sometimes hurt us and get out of our comfort zones to actually help other people. That is key. It's no story that I can tell you about if I have not experienced it. Otherwise all I'm doing is being hypothetical, but I can't give you the real steps to get through it. And what I want to do is, the thing is that a lot of people say, well, my father's in jail, my father's here, but the thing is, even Paul was in jail, but the thing is, no matter whatever your situation is, you need to be able to reach people in that situation and free them. So, say for instance, their father has been put in prison all their lives. The legacy they need to leave them is they need to be writing a letter to tell them what it is they don't need to be doing so they don't end up like that. They need to be writing them the letter to still stay in contact. So no matter where you are as a man, you need to be reaching out and touching the next generation.
That's right.
We get so caught up in the legacy that we leave is financial, business, but the real legacy that we need to leave is a guide. We need to leave a guide for people. We need to leave a guide for our daughters so that they understand how to love in a relationship. We need to leave a guide for our sons so they know how to walk as men, even if it means not walking in the same path that I walk. And a lot of times, sometimes all we need to do is tell our kids is don't go down the road that I went down so that they can find a better place. And that challenge to the people that are on the line, because I know I saw a statement today and it said if fathers did what they were supposed to do, we wouldn't have as much crime as we had. But like you said, if the father isn't present, and yes, it's for some choice, some act, whether they're incarcerated, whether they have passed, there are some things that happen in life. Yes, sometimes it happens. But the thing is, we can't make blanket statements if we're not stepping up to the plate to make sure that our community is receiving that extra love. It's a lot of men out there who don't have natural blood kids, but they step up and they are fathers to these kids. There are absolutely tons of programs out there that someone can volunteer. And when I say volunteer, I don't mean write a check. A child needs more than just a check. They need that interaction from a man. Because we need more than just that tangible financial gift. We need, as that song said, we need somebody to lay a shoulder on. We need somebody to talk to. And that's the thing about your ministry. It is not just throwing out money in the community. It's actually giving them the counseling that's needed. It's actually giving them the empowerment and the education to reach that next level so that they can actually heal and be whole and healthy. So that's the thing that I want to focus on. So now you say your ministry. What is it that is coming up next in your ministry that other people can participate in? And this is for our men who here. What it is something that you can do, where it is, and if you're not in the Savannah area, I would want you to find out where it is you can step in somebody's life to be a father. And it does not mean that you have to be there every day. But sometimes people, if you just write them a letter on the regular basis to ask them how they're doing or give them a guide on what it is they need to be doing, sometimes it's just that simple to free the person. All right, so tell me what's your next event that's coming up that people can actually participate in volunteering in?
Right, so the next event we have is the Fatherless Daughters of America Fall Boot Camp, and this is an intense training, an intense 2-week boot camp that readies the child. You know, fatherless daughters have a syndrome, and that syndrome is an emotional deficit. Most fatherless girls, and let me give you the definition of fatherless female. That's a female who has an emotionally unattached and physically unavailable father by death, divorce, abandonment, abuse, addiction, or incarceration. Okay, so if you fall under any of those categories, then you are a fatherless daughter. So how do I identify with some of the issues and some of the decisions that these women make that makes them fatherless? Well, it's an emotional deficit that has to be cleaned out and has to be healed in order for them to make better decisions, think clearly, and not make emotional decisions. And also, in turn, to the next generation, learn to teach and train your children to make better decisions. Because it is a pathology. So when you break down the man, when the man broke down, the whole family came down. So now God is after building up the family. So we're not here to bash the man, but we're here to build the daughters while the man gets himself together. So we're having this boot camp, which is an intense 2-week training to help these girls emotionally deal with those scars, those wounds. You know, self-esteem is one big thing. Confidence is another. How do I date without a daddy? How do I have conversations with men and keep it in contact without a leader that has shown me how to be a daddy? So this is what we'll do. And our Fatherless Fall Boot Camp is October the 8th and October the 15th. It's on a Saturday from 12 to 2. We partner with Subway on the Medical Arts Subway. It's on Waters Avenue, and they partner with us. Kate Styles out there, she's really, really sweet. But what we're doing is we're gathering 15 girls together, and we're going to give them intimate, intense training on how you can go from fatherless to fearless. So that's October the 8th and October the 15th from 12 to 2. The location, if you want to connect with us, you can find us on Facebook at Fatherless Daughters of America. It's a closed group. Or you can like our page at Fatherless Daughters of Savannah, Georgia. That's another entity of the Fatherless Daughter movement. We started a docu-series following these lives of these Fatherless Daughters. And our first season just wrapped. We're going into the second season. We just had a casting for that show, and it was on the CW network, on Comcast, DirecTV, and the Dish Network. So we're very excited about the response and just excited about hearing fatherlessness one girl at a time.
And what I liked, you said it was an intimate and intense event. So it's not something just show up, let's have a party, and then you go figure it out.
Oh, no.
It's a true 2-week where you're going through a process to be healed. And I know it's some women out there who have some daddyless issues, and you need to get them so that you can be healthy. You have your daughters who, for whatever reason, there's not a father in their life. And I don't mean just a father figure, because sometimes that's not a great substitute. So we need to be making sure that we fill in the gaps so that our daughters do not go into unhealthy women. And that's what happens, that our relationships are actually a struggle, and we want to become whole. And actually, the next song that's coming up is actually Anthony Evans, and it says, Fighting for Me. And what I want you to hear is there's a struggle, as always, for us to let go of what we want to do, because we figure out we can fix it ourselves. And that is what happens in these fatherless relationships. We've made a decision that we don't need a man, and then we make a decision we don't need God. And when we make those decisions, it leaves us out there when we are fighting with no tools in the spirit. And then our spirit man is open, and we go on this journey, and we get lost, and we get further and further away from God. Remember, it's not a man that can save you. So get your spiritual life right and get back in alignment with God. Because the example is definitely Jesus. He left a legacy, a guide, and a roadmap. So that is what we're supposed to be doing. So men, step up, make that legacy and roadmap. We roll into Anthony Evans, Fighting for Me.